Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of the Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the left's new George Floyd, aka Jordan Neely, the multi-time felon, the previously 44 to 45 time arrested criminal in New York City that was choked out the other day and then eventually died of his injuries. And basically the bullshit from the left now. So in the past couple of days, you've obviously had protests for this idiot. You've had a whole bunch of people on the subway trains and subway tracks yesterday, literally stopping trains from going. I don't know if they shut down that part of the track or what it was, because you would think the third rail would have killed a bunch of these people, honestly, which they didn't. And the only thing I can think is maybe they shut down that part of the train tracks or something like that, because there was a train that was legitimately about 15, 20 feet behind these idiots. And yeah, it's just so stupid. It's so fucking stupid, dude. This is honestly what happens when you allow Democrats to infest your city and your state and hold any amount of power for any amount of time. They will completely turn your cities and your state into complete leftist shitholes that have no laws in them at all, completely lawless. And it's exactly what we're going to see balkanization in this country in the next, I believe, 6 months to a year, give or take. Because we have definitely come to a breaking point in this nation right now, especially with all the shit going on this week with the, arrest of the Proud Boys on seditious conspiracy and stuff like that. And all the crap with the Oath Keepers, all people like that were part of, the January 6th fucking walking into the Capitol thing there. And yeah, I definitely think we're heading towards bad times ahead right now. I don't know if it's going to be, I think honestly, because people always talk about Black Swan events specifically, individuals like Mike, what's that guy's name? Okay, I'm trying to think of the guy's name is now. I'm blanking on the guy's last name, the health ranger guy that does natural news and stuff like that. He always discusses potential for black swan events and stuff like that, which would obviously be, like some catastrophic event you don't really see coming is what it is, but like you can still see it coming, but it's still considered like a black swan event in some cases. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now, which would be you have this weird mix of stuff right now where you have all these BRICS countries, I think is what they're called, where it's like all the different European nations over there and stuff like that, like your Russias and shit, like the old red Soviet Union stuff like that, that have now stopped using US dollars for stuff. And you basically have obviously our petrodollar, you know, stop being accepted by some countries now that are dealing in Chinese goods, is what it is. And so you have the collapse of the dollar coming very soon. And now, of course, you have these different people who are in power right now, these various banksters, et cetera, that are elected officials in this country who are trying to introduce basically a central bank digital currency, or CBDC is what they're called. And that's the only thing I do like about Vivek Ramaswamy, even though I'll never vote for the guy because of the shit he pulled and said on Tim Pool the other day, is what it was. Because he's basically, that dude has his head for his own ass, is what it is, dude. And he thinks he's like such hot shit. Where in reality, like, he's just a guy, is what it is. He's actually a guy that's younger than I am. And that shows me something right there as well. Like, I don't vote for people that are younger than I am in most cases, unless you have like the drive, or you're part of the same thing that I'm part of, is what it is. Like, if it, like let's say this right. If I had like a bunch of like 20 somethings right now come to me, join the network legitimately, and then we're like, hey, we're gonna go run for this seat, this seat, this seat, this seat, and this seat. We want you to endorse us. And it was basically a coordinated grassroots effort and stuff like that. I'd be like, yeah, you got my endorsement, is what it is. And it's because of that reasoning. And it's because they would be helping me out and helping the network out. And it would basically be a whole grassroots effort among all of us, is what it would be, versus people like Vivek Ramaswamy, who made his entire fortune in big pharmaceutical companies, and just, it's real shady shit in general, is what it is. And then just him talking the other day on Tim Pool about like, oh, but Trump took MAGA as far as it could go, and I could do it way better and way faster and way easier, and I can, talk with the younger kids. He basically reminded me of Steve Buscemi meme, that one meme with Steve Buscemi where he's basically walking up with a skateboard and he's like, "Hello, fellow children." Like, that's what it reminds me of, honestly, at this point, dude. But anyway, yeah, the guy just, I don't know, he just rubs me the wrong way for some reason. I don't know if it's because I feel like he's definitely in league with these, various Bilderberg types and shit like that, or what it is, man. But either way, I'll never vote for Vivek, is what it is, dude. And I probably won't vote for Trump in 2024, actually. But that being said, um, the entire point I'm trying to make is, though, is I will give Vivek his props though, because he was the first one that seemed to be bringing up central bank digital currency stuff and being against it, and then forced the hand of like Ron DeSantis and Trump and everybody else like that to basically be on the same page as what it is now with that. So, good for you, buddy. You did one thing right, is what it is. And the thing with CBDCs is all it would be is it would essentially turn us into Demolition Man at the end of the day. It would turn us into this hellscape of authoritarian regimes, complete government tyranny, knowing everything you track, like tracking everything you buy, tracking everything you have, et cetera, et cetera. And it really goes back to that, 2030 Great Reset shit or whatever, where it was them being like, oh, you'll own nothing, you'll have nothing, you'll be happy kind of thing is what it is. And it's like, you won't be happy though. You'll all be fucking equally poor, equally sad, etc. And now that's why they're trying to be like the whole eat the bug shit and everything else like that, while banning, various stuff under like climate change shit is what it is. And so it's all basically this coordinated effort, I believe, to eventually fuck us over. And you're starting to see Americans, especially Americans at this point, who are very armed, who are finally having enough of it, dude. And that's the thing. I think honestly, and I've talked to people here in the last hour or so on the panel there with Honda's chat and stuff in the back chat, and I think there's differing opinions on if we're done as a country or not. Here's the thing right now. If you want to talk about all 50 states right now as a country, yes, I think that is gone. I think that is out the window right now in the future. Do I think a much smaller, roughly 30 state balkanization country will exist after that? Yes, I believe it is the case. I believe that would be the new America at that point. And it would be all the states right now that we're seeing pass constitutional carry. And it's all the states that are, basically either run by Republican governors or have Republican majority or supermajority legislators currently that actually give a fuck about what seems like gun rights at this point, and Second Amendment and oath keeping for the most part is what it is. Now, granted, not every single one of those people is all for that. There are obviously, rhinos in those mixes that definitely need to be removed from office right now, especially here in Ohio. Jason Stevens, the current Speaker of the House, needs to get the fuck out is what it is right now, dude. He is completely holding up our current legislation to do not only an August election, but also to have the 60% threshold amendment on it. And if that doesn't get done by Wednesday, it's not going to get done. And that's the biggest problem I have right now. And that's why I was specifically in the last few days here over the weekend been calling out the Ohio House right now, and the Ohio Senate on the matter too, as well, for that matter, which they don't really have any power there to do anything, but the Ohio House does what it is. And I've been saying specifically, I'm like, either force Stevens' hand to bring this shit up to a vote as speaker, or remove his ass from the speakership is what it is this coming week. Because that needs to happen, honestly. Like, it needs to be here Monday that they just need to remove his ass from office at this point, dude. Just throw him out of the speakership, possibly throw him out of office entirely, and vote in a new speaker is what it is then, until the Democrats to go fuck off is what it is, because they don't have a vote there is what it would be then. Which my thing is, and that's the biggest problem I have entirely right now, is in the first place, when you have a party controlled, like a majority party controlled thing like that or whatever, why should the other party even have a right to fucking vote in that whole speaker race, dude? It's bullshit entirely on that one. Because by that whole thing right now, if you actually had, even going back federally at that point, if you had not had the Democrats having any kind of say as what it was on who they wanted to pick as like minority party voter, I should say minority party nominees, what it would be then, you would have just specifically had, I believe it was somebody like a Jim Jordan or Byron Donalds or whatever, be the Speaker of the House right now at a federal level instead of that idiot McCarthy. And it would be kind of the same thing here in Ohio. If it had just been Republicans voting, the 67 Republicans voting at that point, you would have had 43 for Derek Marin, and you would have had, I think it was like 22 or 23 for Jason Stevens. And then it was the 30 plus Democrats that all voted for fucking Jason Stevens. So if you take out the Democrat Party entirely on that one, Derek Marin is Speaker of the House of Ohio right now. And that's how it should have gone anyway. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude. And that's the thing, too, by the way. If Derek Marin was Speaker of the House of Ohio right now, and third in command to the governorship right now, you would have already had Ohio pass SOPA. We would have had a Second Amendment Preservation Act on the books already right now, up to DeWine's desk, at least, where depending on if DeWine wanted to sign off on it or not, that's up to him. But, like, we would have probably had the veto override for that, though. You would have had SOPA already enacted. You would have had the 60% threshold already enacted. You would have had August elections already enacted. You would have had so much better stuff happen right now. And this is the problem right now. When you have good people that have the majority backing them be held down by fucking douchebag rhino sacks of shit is what it is. And that's what Jason Stevens is on the other day, man. He's a fucking moderate sack of crap is what it is. Who had to go fucking jerk off Allison Russo in the back of the fucking building to get the fucking Democrat support to get the speakership. And you know what happened the last time that happened, by the way, when it was rhinos and Dems working together? You had Larry Householder as Speaker of the House of Ohio. And where is Larry Householder now? In federal prison for bribery scandals. That's where he's fucking at right now. So, yeah, needless to say, it's a bunch of bullshit entirely. But I'm kind of getting off track on this one because we're going to talk about a few other things in this one too, by the way, because we're also going to talk about some other shit when it relates to Ohio, specifically a piece of legislation Democrats are coming up with because they're all pedophiles is what it is, dude, here, legitimately, especially these new ones that got into office back in November is what it was, in the, 10, 12 seats in a major city that exists right there for their entire, minority majority is what it is. So, and I say it like that, obviously, because they're a minority party in the state and they have the majority of their seats are in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, where it's like anywhere from like 8 to 12 apiece, basically, come from these areas. And then the other 5 or 6 or so that are in there come from places like Dayton and Toledo and shit. So, anyway, it's all major cities is what it is, dude. Because the rural people hate their asses with a passion, as we should, is what it is. But, anyways, it's exactly what I want to see one county, one rep put through. It's also, by the way, why hopefully in the next few months here, I will be starting a grassroots movement to actually start recall voting on people, because I found out recently in the state of Ohio that under Article 1, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution, you can actually recall an entire government if you want to. So, yeah, if we can get things going in multiple counties in this state, we're definitely recalling every single Democrat right now. And probably some Republicans too at that point. Because fuck all these people is what it is, dude. They're all corrupt-ass criminal pieces of shit. You know, we throw out of office right now is what it is. So, anyway. Hopefully it'll happen. But, yeah, going back to the thing with Jordan Neely becoming the possible new George Floyd there. Of course, you got pieces of shit like Ariana Presley, the squad bitch, who is trying to make it about race and race hustling and race baiting and stuff on it. You got them. You got the piece of shit Marine Corps now caving to the left in the last day or two, who have now outed the guy who put Jordan in the chokehold to restrain his ass as this 24, 25-year-old guy named Daniel, and that's all I'll leave it at right there. I won't say his last name because there's no reason to. And, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude. And, of course, when this happened in the Blue City like that in New York, I guarantee they're going to try to row this motherfucker. You got people on Reddit now talking about the Rittenhouse effect because they're too stupid to realize Kyle never killed black people is what it is. It was a white pedophile and a white wife beater is what it is, dude, that he actually shot that night in self-defense and who died of their injuries. And, yeah, they're basically saying that's the quote-unquote Kyle Rittenhouse effect, where it's like, oh, you can just kill unarmed black people and stuff. It's like, no, you idiots. It's taking people and restraining them who are threatening and trying to commit violent crimes against people is what it is, which is what Jordan Neely was doing at the time of his, choking out is what it was there. And he was legitimately, as far as I'm aware, on some kind of K2 spice shit is what it was, dude. Because the people we're talking about now, like I guess his autopsy revealed that stuff is what it was. Or something along those lines is what came out about it, was he was like high as a kite basically at the time of his death is what it was then. So again, could have just been George Floyd at that point too. Because we all know Floyd was high as fuck at the time, dude, when his death actually happened. So, yeah, needless to say, it's very, very interesting. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. Like I said, we already got idiots protesting, and then of course they're, shooting themselves in the foot with their own dumbass movement there, because instead of actually getting the people on their side by, just doing it right, they're trying to interrupt people from being able to even move at all. And then you wonder why you have people getting pissed at you. And it's like, yeah, that's the reason why, dude, because you're like stopping them from going to work or going to the store, or whatever the case be, by using the subway is what it is. Which I'm actually surprised the subway still works in New York City, because last I heard, and this was during Bill de Blasio's administration, you had the fucking subway track or subway cars on the tracks literally being held together with industrial strength zip ties because they were so fucking broken, and all the money was being pissed away on aliens and stuff like that is what it was. So, yeah. Sorry, I thought I saw something behind me. Sorry, fucking stream kicked me out again. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. I think it's something to do with like the signal is what it is. It just drops out sometimes and shit. So, but yeah, like I was saying, thought I had a bug on the box right there is what it was. But it turned out it was the handle. But yeah, there's a big old stink bug in this room somewhere that I've been trying to kill for like the last 2 days is what it is. So, uh, yeah, and so I'm kind of worried about those damn things. I don't know what's up with those things. They've been infesting the house for like years now is what it is. But anyway, so going back to what I was going to talk about though, which was this piece of legislation that Democrats have put through here in Ohio, which, by the way, there's 8 of these people. It is 1/4 of the Democrat Party in the state house right now that is behind this shit. 4 of these people are brand new first term state reps, and one of them is the first Somali chick in our state house. Which, how the fuck you can come from another country and hold power in my country? I don't understand that at all. You should not be legally allowed to do that. That's what it is, dude. Same thing with that bitch Omar and Congress, etc. There. It's like I don't care who the fuck you are, man. If you come from a different country and you come to my country, like guess what? You're automatically disqualified from ever holding office in this country. Is what it is. Go fuck yourself. But yeah, this is the article at hand here. It is quote easier for evil people to commit crimes. Ohio Democrats push to amend state's child enticement laws. Said critics say Democrat bill would effectively legalize luring children into strangers' cars because of course they do. Because of course they do. Because they're fucking pedophiles. They're fucking pedophiles and they're pedophile enablers is what it is, dude. And that's the entire problem right now. And we continue on here. It said Democrat lawmakers in Ohio are pushing for a quote legislative change that would decriminalize luring children into a vehicle unless the state can prove that the child was lured with a sexual motivation. Fucking sick ass people, dude. So the bill, co-sponsored by a quarter of the Democrats in the state of Ohio's lower chamber, meaning our state house, would amend the state's criminal code, quote, to require that a person act with a sexual motivation to commit the offense of criminal child enticement. The proposed change not only puts the new burden on prosecutors to prove sexual motivation, but also removes the provision stating that adults must have permission of a child's parent or guardian to entice the child into a vehicle. So essentially, what they're saying with that one is it would be like, say, like I is like, we'll actually say it like this: my brother, as a father right now, like say it was myself and my mother going down to Columbus to hang out or whatever the case be for a little bit here, and he was busy at work or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to go pick up, your niece slash granddaughter." In my mother's case, would it be? And he gave us permission to do that, and it would be like, okay, come on, get in the vehicle or whatever. Then it would be that kind of reasoning, parent signatures and stuff like that, or guardian signatures and stuff like that, because it'd be like, yeah, you have the permission of the parent slash guardian to be able to pick this child up from school or whatever. Then not, oh, hey, random child on the street, just get in the fucking car, get in the white panel van with fucking free candy written on the side of it and shit like that. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, you fucking pedophile Democrats. That's what these fuckers want, dude. That's what they fucking want. And by the way, I'd like to point something out, by the way. Ohio is one of the highest states right now for human trafficking in this country, especially of children in major cities, is what it is, dude. Because we have this fucked up connection when it comes to our highway system where you can basically, in any major city, drive like 5 to 10 minutes in any kind of direction out of the city area there or whatever, and you're on the fucking major highways, is what it is then. and you're pretty much heading towards the different states. Would it be then? Whether it be Pennsylvania or Indiana or West Virginia or whatever the case be there, up to Michigan maybe even. And yeah, just fucked up, dude. So, just absolutely ridiculous what it is, man. But anyway, fuck with that now. And I'd also like to point some out too, by the way. Some of these same exact people that are against, that are for this shit, the Democrat Party there, are the same exact motherfuckers who have been trying to undo Ohio's constitutional carry law to make a burden of proof on the gun owner that self-defends against a criminal. So yeah, on one hand, they're for burden of proof on the people to prove self-defense, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, they are for the state having to prove shit against an actual child molester. Fuck you, Democrat Party. Specifically you, Tabby Golonsky, you fucking cunt. Hate your fucking guts, bitch. Because you're the ones on most of this bullshit is what it is. That and the fucking trying to do away with the cops, less than lethal shit. And actually being a BLM fucking terrorist because you're tied with that fucking group. Shouldn't even be in our CS right now because of this. Anyway. Continuing on with this though. Said do it with provision to provide parent/guardian signature to put the kid in the car. The proposal has turned heads in the Legislative Criminal Justice Committee, which is now considering the bill. Quote, I am shocked and appalled by the legislation, and I cannot believe any of the 8 Democrat co-sponsors of this bill actually read it before endorsing it, said Josh Williams, who's a new first-term representative. And what's funny is I think if I'm not mistaken, he was actually the one that shared this link for this article here. And I was actually talking to him about it, and I said specifically, I'm like, dude, do you not realize that the Democrats are pedophiles in the state right now? And he's like, I think you're right. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking know I'm right, dude. Because that's the entire point. Like, I know I'm right, man. I know I'm right because I fucking can see this shit. Because I've actually done enough research into these fucking people to see the sick-ass shit that they're into, man. And they're the ones that always gaslight and be like, oh no, it's the right-wing people that are that way. No, it's not, you fucking idiots. When you look at the majority of the people in Congress right now, if not all of them, that are actual and active child molesters at a federal level, it's fucking Democrats, dude. Legitimately. And they're all tied to Hollywood fucking pedo gangs and stuff like that is what it is. Like Seth Green and his wife and shit like that. So, anyway. But yeah, it said, can't believe any of the 8 co-sponsors actually read the bill before endorsing it, said Josh Williams, a Republican who is the committee vice chair. So Williams said the additional requirement that the state, quote, prove sexual motivation to convict will make the statute far more difficult to prosecute and effectively legalize attempted child abduction. Exactly. So it is unlikely the bill will become law. Republicans control vast majorities in both chambers of the Ohio's legislature. Yeah, we have supermajorities in both parties is what it is, dude, right now. Or I should say in both chambers for that major party is what it'll be then. Said the state, once known as the ultimate bellwether, hasn't been politically kept competitive for several cycles. That's absolute bullshit lies, by the way. Whoever wrote that is a fucking liar. We know for a fact who won 2020, and it was Donald Trump. And it's that simple, dude. So we fucking called that shit here. We are that bellwether state. And the only reason a piece of shit like Biden's in power right now is because massive voter fraud. And the same thing with that bitch Kamala. Anyway, so Josh Williams said the additional requirement. Okay, never mind. Right, the part of it. Yeah. So unlikely to become because the vast majority Republicans both chambers said the state once it was bellwether. It said it has voted Republican for president since 2016 and has a Republican governor and U.S. senator. Yeah, and we're gonna have 2 U.S. senators pretty soon because that piece of shit Sherrod Brown's gonna be voted the fuck out this November, next November in 2024. So there's a consensus that the state's enticement law is in need of amending the Ohio's. Let's see. There's a consensus that the state's enticement law is in need of amending the Ohio Supreme Court ruled in 2014 that is unconstitutionally broad and can no longer be enforced, which is absolute bullshit, by the way. I love how they have to go back to 2014, by the way, to say that shit. So it's almost a decade ago that they're saying there. Said, quote, legislation stems from our local law enforcement being unable to enforce existing criminal child enticement law because of the ruling of the statute. Said Richard D'Allegua, the Democrat who is the lead sponsor of it. By the way, this motherfucker right here is a first termer, and he's 100% a fucking child molester. Oh my god, dude. I didn't even realize this guy had fucking full pedo stash until now. My god, can you be any more fucking broad, brother? Oh my god, man. Yeah, this is the fucking guy right here. This D'Allegua guy is the fucking primary sponsor of this fucking piece of shit legislation, dude. And you wonder why I call the Democrats pedophiles in this state. Anyway. So Josh Williams, however, questions the decision by Democrats to narrow the statute by taking out the requirement that adults have permission for the from child's parents before luring a child in the car. That's the thing that, like, I have a problem with that even, dude. Like saying like luring a kid into the car. You're not luring the kid into the car if you have permission from the parents, dude. You're picking you're picking a kid up from school, you're picking them up from the fucking neighbor's house or whatever it is, dude. Like you're not being like, oh hey, I have candy, come into the car, kid. No, you're saying, hey, niece, nephew, whatever the fuck, get in the fucking car because we're going home. You know, mom, dad, etc. told us to come pick your ass up, is what it was. Like that's the big difference there. You know, it's not like you're fucking going around random parts of the state and the cities and stuff like that, and walking and driving up to random kids and be like, hey, kid, get in the car. Like, no, you're picking up most likely a blood relative at that point is what it would be from a school or an after school program or a daycare, whatever the hell it is then, you know, or like I said, a friend's house or whatever it be then. So you're not luring anybody. You're literally picking the kid up and you're obviously having parents' permission to do so is what it would be then. So yeah, that whole thing I think is poorly written in that by this person that wrote this article. So anyway, continuing on though, it said, make no mistake about it, the legislation would make it easier for evil people to commit crimes. Republican Josh Williams said, it is not criminal justice reform. No, it's not, dude. It's all pedophile Democrat shit is what it is, dude. Williams said, I look forward to working with members of the Criminal Justice Committee to update Ohio's child enticement laws without eliminating a parent's right to press criminal charges against those attempting to prey upon their children. Good for you, Josh. Good for you. And by the way, we're actually going to look up Josh Williams right now, and we will show you a picture of this dude here in a second. So, and go to images. Compared to D'Allegua, this is what Republican Josh Williams looks like right here. And I could easily see this guy being a future being a future lieutenant governor or even governor for that matter in like the next 10, 20 years, give or take. You know, actually, technically speaking, depending on how much of a constitutionalist the guy really is, I could easily see picking him for my own ticket in 2026 right now. As like a 3-term state rep then or something. And then there's him and the white guy in front of him there is Derek Marin. That's the guy who should be Speaker of the House of Ohio right now. So, yeah. And yeah, Josh is he's a first termer right now. This is he got in November 2022 along with D'Allegua and all these Democrats that are part of this legislation. So, and actually where's it at right now? I'm gonna actually talk about the piece of legislation itself right now, which I'm gonna call from this point forward the Pedo Act by the Democrat Party, which is which would be wants to pop up here. I'm not sure. It's still loading. Come on. It literally hits you to fucking load up, man. Load your ass up. This is ridiculous. Like, I could get it to be like the. I think it's just a bad broken link, maybe, or something at this point. Let's see if I do it that way and see if it pops up. No, not doing it that way either. Jesus. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and see if it doesn't pop up from that then. I wish they would have just put what House bill it was on here, because I would just look the shit up that way, because I know I looked up the other day too. And I can't remember the actual. Actually, that would be the thing to do, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Let me just go to legiscan.com right now. So go ahead and do this, since this is not seeming to want to work at all. So we will go to legiscan.com. Go down to Ohio. Go look up. Where is it at here now? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, one of the ones that we do need to enact, by the way, pretty soon here would be this one, House Bill 68, which would be the Save Adolescent Children's Act, or yeah, that's written here. The Ohio Saving Adolescents from Experimentation, or SAFE Act, which would be stopping medical procedures on kids right now, and it has literally 2/3 of the Republican Party behind it right now. As 40 of 65 state reps currently, because we got two that are. We have one that's out of office, and then unfortunately, one of the best Pro 2A champions in the state, Chris Jordan, lost his life earlier this year, which is terrible, and I don't think he's been replaced yet, though. Hopefully, they'll do a special election here in May, or hopefully they did a special election here in this past Tuesday. Then for him, I'm not sure, but I don't know. Either that'll be replaced somehow, is what it'll be then. But so that would be one. So we want to go. Where would it be now? I'm trying to think now. Look up Dell on this and see what comes up then. No, that would not be. Trying to think now how I could look this up right now. I'm going to go back to the other thing and see if I can't find it from there as well. See if I can't get it to pop up now. All right, there, it finally popped up now. Okay, so let me go ahead and stop screen sharing here. Rescreen share with this other piece now. So it is House Bill 148, which is Dialogua is the primary sponsor, and then you got Golonsky, Daniel Troy, who is definitely an old pedo, Terrence Upchurch, Forhan, who is the new fucking guy right now, who I want to say is named Elliot, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it's Elliot. Okay. Yeah, so we got Elliot Forhan, who is this fucking douchebag right here. And then you got McNally, who's also a new first-term state rep. Ohio rep. Images. So that's her pedo ass right there. And then you got, who else is on this one? Abduli, who is the Somali woman I'm talking about. You obviously know what her ass looks like. Ohio rep. Who is this pile of shit right here? And I'm not the least surprised her ass is on this. I'm actually surprised that the Mohammed guy that's also the first Somali dude in our state house is not on this crap as well. So, and then the last but not least one that's on here is Brennan, who I believe was also a first-term state rep. Rep. Yeah, Sean Brennan, he's also a first-termer, which is this motherfucker right there. Actually, ironically enough, this guy, this Brennan guy, looks like the many dudes that have been arrested here in Ohio on prostitution stings. So, not least surprised he's part of this as well, dude. So yeah, you got, what did I say, at least 4 there. So let me see. So Dialago will be new. Forhan, McNally. Okay, so it's 5 of this. It's 5 of the 8 then actually. So it would be Dialago was the first term. You got Forhan, who's the first term. You got McNally, who's the first term. You got Abdullah, who's the first term, and you got this Brennan guy, who's the first term. And hopefully, every single one of these people will never see a second term in the state house then. And then we got Tavia Golonsky, who's been in there. I think this is her 3rd term. She's an anti-gun fuckstick and BLM terrorist. You got Daniel Troy, who is this old Democrat sack of shit. And you got Terrence Upchurch, who I believe was the one who's been busted for weed a bunch of times. So, and basically driving under the influence as well on top of that for, various drug substances and stuff like that. So, yeah. That's who they are, man. That's who the Democrat Party is in the state, dude. A bunch of fucking criminals who every single one of them should be in office right now based on this alone. And this is exactly why this kind of shit should be felonies, dude. Legitimately. If you're going to push to allow child enticement in this country, you don't need to be in office anymore after that. And you should be disqualified from the fucking elected position or on disqualification on this country. See the power is what it is, dude. And those, honestly, I'll tell you right now, when it comes to the Article 1, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution, these are going to be the first 8 that I plan on fucking going up against, dude, to try to get their asses out of office. Recall voting on that one then. And find people in those districts to run against them then in recalls and stuff based on that state constitutional article then. And then from there, it would be Allison Russo and Casey Weinstein would be the other 2 added to the first 10 then, because they're some of the biggest scumbags as well in this whole state house right now. And then we go for the rest of them after that then. So those would be the first 10. Then we go 10 at a time. So it'd be 10, 10, and then the last 12 would be, if we can get the first 20 out, we get the last 12 out then, if that'd be the case then. So, and hopefully from there at the same time, we'll be enacting one county, one rep stuff. So anyway, that's pretty much where we're at then. But anyway, sorry, I was looking up some really hot girl here. You had some trans person talking shit about her or whatever. Jesus. Oh my god, bro. There's a freaky ass looking pigeon that I'm not going to show on camera because I don't know what the hell that's from. So, let's see now. Apparently, got some black supremacists trying to sit here and claim that a bunch of Muslim child molesters are white people. Doesn't mention a fucking word how when it comes to things going on, it's a bunch of Democrats, by the way, that are pushing this shit right now. So, fuck that guy. Which, by the way, this dude's simply trying to come back at the whole thing of people talking about the white on black violence in this country right now, and how you have similar things to what's being shown here for that stat right there. But the one thing that the media doesn't cover is the actual black on white crime is what it is. It's just the white on black crime that they shove through is what it is. I'm going to see if I can see some of the comments on this dude's thing here. Yeah, what I find interesting too on that one is how they want to sit there, they want to sit there and talk about those statistics or whatever. But then you actually look at, when you break down like racial makeup of America and stuff like that, like there's still a shitload of white people compared to blacks in this country. Is what it is, dude. It's blacks make up what 12.9, 13%, something like that is what it is right now, and you have white people make up like still I think over 50% of this country currently. So, like when you look at it from that perspective, like of course there's going to be more people that do stuff on the one thing, whatever the case be. But on the flip side of things, it's like, yeah, when again, when you have that 13% making up like half the fucking murder rates and stuff like that, dude, and all the black on black crime and stuff like that, then it's like, bro, like there's obviously an issue there. So, anyways, nice. We got Jeff Younger doing the notice of pattern at some piece of crap in one of the major cities, literally walking up to a bunch of plate glass windows and just smacking them out with a hammer, and then a bunch of people running into the place and stealing shit. And they all, ironically enough, kind of look like that hillbilly woman, honestly. So, just saying, man. But anyways, just ridiculous as what it really is. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely things that can be done to deal with a lot of this shit right now, but people are not wanting to do it. And unfortunately, when we try to get people to implement stuff, they don't really want to really do their jobs at all, man. Oh, and of course, this asshole is now trying to fucking take it about race again and be like, oh, talk about the white mass shooters. It's like, oh, you mean like the fucking piece of shit Antifa and BLM allied terrorists that committed the Dayton massacre back in 2019, motherfucker? Or is it the guy that did the El Paso one that was 100% a fucking federal done MK Ultra agent? Or was it the guy before that that did the Gilroy Garlic Festival one that was also on that same fucking deal? Or how all these dudes were all on MK Ultra fucking mind control drugs, aka SSRIs is what it is. Or is it the fact that when you actually look into most of these things, like Uvalde, you had literal fucking cops that could have smoked that guy's ass within 2 minutes of the fucking dude getting into the actual school classroom there, and yet they waited over an hour in the fucking hallway and let him murder a bunch of children? Or would that be the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas one, aka Parkland, where you had over 25 trips from the fucking Secret Service into that school system, and you had RSOs, aka school resource officers in Broward County, who legitimately would take video of the inside CCTV footage cameras and take it back an hour so that every time there was a fight in the school, they could simply go in there and delete the shit out of there then. That happened, by the way. And what's funny to me too is, by the way, because of that, you had Parkland be named the safest school in America like a month and a half before that should happen then. And then you had all these kids come out after the fact too, by the way, on that whole thing, who specifically said that the dude who they claim was the gunman, and that is like the lone gunman or whatever, that they were standing right next to the fucking kid in a classroom while there were shots ringing out in multiple parts of that school then. And since then, every single one of the people have ended up dead now. So, take that for what you will. I'd say it's government killing people at this point, personally, but, it's just me. But anyway. Yeah, and of course, this piece of shit has a little fucking cash app there. Jesus. I gotta see what this asshole looks like now. Well, I was saying somebody that calls himself Professor Black Truth. Like, Jesus, dude. Let's see here now. Oh, of course, this pussy will never actually show his face on camera, like a typical little wannabe anonymous bitch is what it is. Yeah, that's usually how it is. And it sounds like, by the way, from that little bit of the audio I heard from that one clip I just pulled up here, the dude sounds like a fucking white guy. So, yeah, not surprising. Not surprising. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if that dude was actually legitimately putting that stat out there because he himself was actually an abuser and stuff like that, dude. Because they usually are, is what it is, dude. Democrat Party and stuff. They're all a bunch of fucking scumbags. But yeah, congratulations. Your ass is gonna be hit for some shit there, buddy. Let's see. Go ahead and do it that way. Troops, wishing harm on them. Let's see, spreading free. Let's see, race identity, etc. Make sure that we straight block this asshole too on Twitter there. Because fuck that clown. Don't need that shit coming up on our feed again. But anyways. Let's see where the fuck was I at now. I don't even remember now. That guy got me all pissed off now. So, anyways. Oh, actually, that was an interesting one. Before we go today, we'll discuss this real quick. So you got quote unquote California reparations panel approves payments of up to $1.2 million for every black resident. Do you have to be a resident of the state before this to get that? Or can I just go there and claim I'm transracial now and get it as a white guy who's going to be a black dude now when I move to California in a couple days? So, you know, I'm obviously making a joke, clearly. I would never move to that fucking anti-gun shithole ever in my life. But that's the whole point I'm trying to make, dude. Like, you know damn well there's gonna be people that are gonna fucking play that shit there, dude. Or they're gonna be like white or Latino people in that state or whatever. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm black now. So yeah, it's just so like like that to me, honestly, is like affirmative action on crack at that point, dude, because it is legitimately completely unconstitutional. You are legitimately doing race-based stuff, even though if you want to look at reparations across the board right now, people like myself who are of Irish descent and our ancestors are provable that they were at one point in captivity as slaves, we should be some of the first ones to get reparations in this country, honestly. And then, of course, it would be black people whose family members actually were slaves during the 1800s, etc. there, and everything else along those lines. But that's the entire point, though, is this is doing nothing more than creating a victimhood class because they want to do racial segregation or racial separation is what it is. And they want to basically make superiority is what it is, a situation there, which is exactly why, going back to that thing I mentioned earlier, you had people, including myself, who were calling that shit out on Twitter and being like, yeah, you know, look at these stats right here where you have the media will focus on white on black crime or whatever, but yet you'll have this huge fucking thing that's like 10, 20 times as much that's black on white crime is what it is. And they won't say a fucking word about that. I mean, hell, who even, like, here's a really good question for you, actually. How many people out here watching my channel right now know who Ronan Sweeney is? I'm sure you've never heard that name outside of me, honestly. Ronan Sweeney was a small white child who was, I think, 4 or 5 years old when he was murdered by a black man. A black dude who, with other black dudes, it was like 4 or 5 of these guys, were trying to rob Ronan's mother and her black boyfriend of COVID checks at the time. And it was Ronan's mom, her black boyfriend, his buddy, and his chick who were in the house at the time. These motherfuckers burst in to that home, to that apartment. I forget if it was an apartment or an actual house. I forget which one it was offhand. I think it might have been like an apartment on like a second floor kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, they kicked the door in that fucking place, came in there fucking guns blazing basically, shot the boyfriend, took Ronan's mom hostage, took him hostage, took the boyfriend's buddy hostage, his girlfriend hostage. I think they shot him too, if I'm not mistaken. The second guy that was the buddy of the boyfriend. And then one of them proceeded to walk up to Ronan after they had let his mom and him go over to like a chair or something like that. Walked up to Ronan, put a gun to his head, and pulled the fucking trigger while he was literally in his mom's arm being cradled by her. And these guys still have yet to get the death penalty in the state of Ohio right now, dude. And that was over 2 years ago now. I believe it was back during the 2020 lockdowns that happened. And yeah, it pisses me the fuck off, dude. You know what else pisses me the fuck off? Even more locally, which is a black on black crime, which is the murder of Ace Lucas. 1.5-year-old child in Canton, Ohio. Literally like 10 minutes from my fucking front door this happened. Kid sleeping in his dad's place on the fucking couch with his twin brother. Fucking 3 pieces of shit, all black dudes, by the way. Only one of which has been caught at this point and been charged with crimes. Walk up to the house, tripping over children's toys, knowing damn well there are kids in that house, and fucking unload on the house, dude. It's absolutely disgusting. It's fucking sickening, dude. And then what's even worse is the piece of shit that they actually caught is now being tried with 2 murders because the gun that he used to kill Ace in that situation had another fucking body on it from a previous murder. Who's to say if that guy also killed that other person or not? Or it was just him buying a gun that already had a body on it, would it be for this murder then? But yeah, like, this is the problem with our country right now, dude. It is criminal adult black males that commit the majority of the fucking crime in this country. You know, there's a reason why they commit over 50% of the homicides while they are roughly about 6.5% of the fucking population. Because when you break down the population of, obviously, you know, black people in this country, it's 13%. But in reality, if you base it on sex of male, female, it's like 6.5% dudes, basically, maybe 7% dudes. So you're talking about 6.5 to 7% of men commit half the fucking homicides of this nation right now, including on their own race. And it's like, what the fuck, man? I've just had it, man. I really have. Okay, I guess people put some context to that for notes either on Twitter is what it was then. So going back to that, we got, yeah, it says California Representation Panel approves payments for $2 million every black resident. Said vote included only recommendations for the state legislator and does not have any legal weight. The $1.2 million amount is a maximum that would be required. Would require 71 years of being a state resident while being impacted by discriminatory practices such as redlining and over policing. Okay. So what they're actually saying there is it wouldn't be any like random people. You would have to be at least 71 years old and actually be able to prove like, oh yeah, I've been discriminated against my entire life kind of thing or whatever, then to actually get that then. So that would actually be even more, like, less people then. So instead of it being like every, 20, 30 something or whatever, it'd be like, no, you'd have like a couple hundred people probably that would actually be qualifying for. But even still, it's like, even that actually is even worse than if you talk about it from that perspective, because it's like, so you're essentially saying like, it's even more victimhood shit at that point then, because you're like, oh, you can actually have to prove to be a victim of like all this shit now or whatever, like pomp and circumstance kind of stuff to then qualify for it. And even then, like, it's only going to be a small portion of people are actually going to get it then. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, the whole thing just seems fucking retarded to me is what it is, dude. And again, it's just a way for them to try to divide people is what it is at the end of the day, really. Meanwhile, you have actual criminals doing criminal shit here is what it is, man. So, yeah, it just really does bother me. Really does bother me, dude. Across the board right now. And then, of course, with good old Title 42 ending pretty soon here. I think this is an old picture they're using for this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a caravan the same size coming up to America right now, honestly. And it's funny to me, right? You got these big old caravans, and what's at the front of them? Oh, you got Mexico's flag, you got Honduras flag, you got like El Salvador, Venezuela flag, whatever it is there, and like a couple other different countries' flags. But you know what? You don't see one of those people carrying an American flag, dude, because they hate this country, because they want to invade this country. And it's as simple as that, man. Something needs to be done about it. I'd love to be able to just say what I can't say right now, but I'm not going to because it would be a whole thing. But yeah, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done about the shit, dude. And if we can't do something about this and deal with it correctly, nothing's ever going to change what it is. Honestly, I think at this point, It's because Biden, the company, ain't gonna do shit about it, dude. It needs to be up to Abbott and these people that are governors of these border states, dude. Be like, stop letting it come in, dude. Have actual military / National Guard ready and rolling to do their job, is what it is, dude. You know, give them the orders to go ahead and do what they need to do at that point, then to deal with this shit accordingly. And if you're not going to do that, then you need to resign, is what it would be then. So, but anyway, because there is a big issue with this country right now, dude, and the fact that we have just invasion after invasion after invasion, and nobody wants to call it invasions, and that's why I will, honestly, dude. Or if you do, you'll get censored or whatever. I don't fucking care anymore, honestly, dude. They can try to censor me, is what it would be then. I'll just go off to Rumble or something then. But anyway, the entire point is, though, is that you have people who are just coming here because they're being told in their own nations, and this is something I can personally verify because I had a conversation with my cousin's ex about this whole situation a couple years back, and she specifically said, because this is a lot of her family is actually from Nicaragua, and she said then, because the way that Nicaragua works is they're one of these socialist countries where if you don't follow the socialist bullshit is what it is, you can't get a job there. And she said, because the way that they were down there, her family's a lot of middle class people is what it is there. Like it basically, like I don't even sure myself. Oh, I guess I would say lower to middle class probably is what it would be then. So it'd basically be where I'm at right now as like a low class person in this country right now, where I still have a roof over my head. I still have, the ability to get, cable and stuff like that as it would be then. And what's happening is it would be the same thing down there. You have these like low to mid class people there who are basically the working poor of their country is what it would be then. And they go home, they flip on the TV, and the TV says, come to the United States of America, and you can get free healthcare, free food stamps, free everything, free housing. Just come to the border, cross the border, and we will allow you to be here. And that's the fucking shit that the NGOs like Soros run these things, by the way. George Soros and companies like that are the ones behind these non-government organizations. They're the ones putting the money into them and shit. It's these NGOs that are running those fucking commercials, dude, that are telling people to come to America, and they'll get free handouts galore is what it is, all on the U.S. taxpayer dime. And it's like, no, you're not going to get that shit, dude. Fuck you. You should be the last people getting that stuff ever in this country because you're not legally fucking here is what it is. Either come here the right way or don't come here at all is what it is, man, period. And even then, I would say even the right way, at some point, we just need to stop that cap too as well. Honestly, if it was up to me right now, if I was president of this country currently, I'd put a moratorium on everything right now, dude. Like right now, Monday fucking morning, it would be executive order number whatever the fuck, and it would be a 1,000 year moratorium on everything. Or maybe not 1,000, like 100. Yeah, I'd say 100 a year. Then actually, it'd be 100 a year that would be eventually to 1,000 years. It would be at the end of the day, man. It would be basically an extension on it to that point in time then, because it would be like a 100 year moratorium every single part of immigration. Then no illegal, no legal. Tough shit. Get the fuck out. And then on top of that, you'd actually have like mass deportation then of all these illegal aliens that are in the country currently and stuff like that. And you would actually secure the shit out of the borders then through the executive order as well on top of that with actual border walls and, various military stuff, drones, etc. In that executive order as well, you declare the cartels the terrorist organizations that they are and deal with them accordingly. And yeah, it would just be done in like a quick time period then, dude. It would be like a swift ass fucking thing to be done. And it would be within days to weeks you'd actually be dealing with that shit correctly then. Because the thing is, even looking at some of these other things right now, you have video evidence out there of people talking about how you have these kids being human trafficked into America, and you'll have them be given to one set of people or whatever to bring them in here as like a minor or whatever then and claim that they're their child or whatever. And then they'll simply grab the kid out of like CPS custody somehow or whatever and flip them right back over the border then, sell them to another set of people is what it is, have them become their child now is what it is. And that's why they're letting people in here and stuff. And it's not right, dude, because it's 100%. They are fucking screwing the system over to screw our country over because they don't have any kids is what it is. And it's and like I said, it's a bunch of fighting age males who are trying to create foreign standing armies in this country, if they haven't already, who are then going to sit there and basically be at war with us at some point. So, yeah. I don't know how balkanization is going to look at this point, dude, but it's going to be very, very bad when it happens, I believe. And a second civil war, for that matter, too, would be very, very bad because you'd have all these foreign standing armies that would be given military-grade equipment as would be then, probably. Just like, seriously, look at the fucking guy down in Texas there that did the mall massacre this weekend. Dude had full kit on everything, dude. Now imagine that, where it's like several thousand people across the board in every single state then. It would be like and honestly, I look at that as look at Hurricane Katrina. Honestly, after that one, dude, where it was like National Guard and stuff like that walking around, confiscating people's firearms and shit, dude. You want to talk about who the future firearms confiscators would be then in this country? It would be all the fucking illegal standing armies would be, dude. That actually makes sense to me. I don't think about it, dude. Like that just popped in my head right there. But yeah, that makes perfect sense, honestly. You talk about those 87,000 IRS agents they wanted to hire there, bunch of illegals, dude. They don't give a fuck. Give them their money, fucking have them be the first guy in the stack and shit like that. And that's exactly what they do too. They use them. They would use people as cannon fodder, dude. Because every single one of these people that are coming over here illegally, why are they fleeing their own countries? By the way, because they want to leave socialism and communism behind them. Yet they are perfectly fine, committing voter fraud in our country and implementing socialism and communism. Fuck that. Fuck that shit, dude. Period. In the story. So, yeah, I'm just done with all of it, dude. I really am. And like I said, I'm just fucking over all of it, dude. I want to go back to a simpler time in this nation, honestly. It's funny. One of the things that during Hana's chat that popped up was it said entering red states go back 50 years or whatever. And it'd be like 19. I think what they really mean is like 70 years because they want to be the 1950s again, so it would be then. But in reality, it'd be the 1970s then. And it would be like, okay, so what they're really talking about is like the very beginning of Roe versus Wade, just after the civil rights movement stuff. You would have third wave feminism being enacted in the colleges then for women and gender studies courses that would eventually lead to CRT and other anti-white racist garbage there for indoctrination shit, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, you know what? Actually, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going back to the 70s then because you could actually sweep that shit out of there real quickly then as it would be, man. And you'd only have, Hart-Celler Act in power for like 8 years then, since 65 then, because it'd be like 73 then. And we could just do away with that shit too then, if that be the case. So, yeah, that would be an interesting time period in history then, man. Because you would be not long after JFK's assassination, you'd be not long after RFK's assassination, et cetera, et cetera. I believe, who was it? LBJ was in power at the time, or maybe Nixon at the time right then. One of those two guys. I forget which one. I want to say 73 was maybe Nixon by then. I think that was, or maybe that was actually, wait, was it Nixon or was it Jimmy Carter for that one term that he had? So it'd either be a lame duck presidency, or it would be like Nixon's presidency then. I don't know. It would be a weird time. Time travel is weird like that though. So, ironically enough, though, that was obviously pre-Patriot Act. It was pre-9/11. You would still have Twin Towers be a thing then. You would actually still have a lot of freedoms in this country. Obviously you still have some gun control stuff enacted because of the Black Panthers going into the California State House with shotguns back in the day in the 60s. And that's what led to some racist-ass white dude in the California General Assembly doing that and enacting gun control within the state houses then is what it was, and it caught fire after that is what it would be then. So, but yeah, it would be interesting, dude. You'd have an interesting time period of history then. But I don't know. I feel like things were a hell of a lot better 50 years ago. That was what it was, man. Because again, even back then, you would have had the very beginnings of fatherless homes be starting. Then it would have been the government coming in and being like, "Oh, are you a single woman? Oh, you got no baby daddy in the house? You got no man in the house? Okay, here's a bunch of fucking food stamps." And that was back when they were actual paper food stamps, by the way, where you had was like a thing like that said like 10 on or something like that. And it was like a $10 bill essentially. And I think if I'm not mistaken, you actually had to spend that entire thing then because they wouldn't give you change on it, depending on the state and stuff, or depending on that as well. You could go and put that in there as like a $10 towards whatever. Then if it was like $6-7 or whatever, and then they actually might give you like actual dollar bills of change and stuff. which now it's just obviously the card then for the actual EBT stuff, because it's an electronic benefit deal now. But anyways, actually, ironically enough, all owned by Chase / JP Morgan. So, and if they wanted to, they could just cut them off at any given time, just like Obama did back in, what was it, 2013 or so, give or take, when you had for like 3 days, people couldn't get the shit, and it was like a weekend, and all of a sudden people were like going and stealing a bunch of stuff from Walmart there, and I think a couple of different southern states there. So, but yeah, so it is what it is, man. But anyway, I gotta go. I got some stuff I gotta do before I go to sleep here, and I'll be back a little bit later. Actually, I might just come back in here for another like 10 or 15 minutes then, and just do like a gaming chat or something like that, because that's what I'm gonna do anyway. And just fire that up for a little bit. But yeah, other than that, that's where we're at for the day for this chat though. And like I said, anybody that's I'm gonna say it like this though, anybody that's protesting in favor of Jordan Neely is a fucking idiot. These people are pro-criminal. It's not surprising because they've always been pro-criminal. I mean, hell, they literally shouted it from the fucking streets back in 2020. You had some BLM chapters being like, who do we protect? Black criminals. So, of course you fuckers do, man, because that's what your fucking end game is. Your fucking end game is to create anarchy and chaos in this country. And you want lawlessness, and you want to get fucking slaps on the wrist for every crime you commit right now. And when they're allowed to do that, that's what fucking does shit, man. Nothing ever is going to change that until you actually enact a law and order on these motherfuckers, dude, and charge them as the terrorists that they are. Charge them with the insurrections they're committing every single state capital in this country in the last fucking 6 months now. Since they did the first one here in Ohio back in 2022 at December there with MDA bitches and stuff like that. And you've had like at least probably 25 to 27 since then is what it was. So, and on top of that, actually start booting these fucking people out of office that are committing this shit, dude, whether it be those fucking retarded pieces of shit there in Tennessee, or whether that be that fucking tranny piece of crap over there in fucking Montana, dude. Throw them out of the fucking state houses entirely and charge them with fucking crimes, including deprivation of of law, so they can never hold elected office ever again in this country, is what it is then. And that's how you fucking deal with that shit accordingly, dude. You toss them the fuck out and you criminally charge their asses, and you make sure that those fucking charges stick on their asses so they can never hold elected office ever again, is what it is then. And it's as simple as that then. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully I will be on YouTube after all of this. And if nothing else, again, go check out the Lacey Anarchy's channel. Sub over there. It'll be a backup channel for the time being, just in case. And if nothing else, we will do other things then. And until later, I will see you guys in the next one, which will be in about 5 to 10 minutes when we start doing a little gaming chat for about 20 minutes or so, give or take. But until later, this is it for this one. See you guys in the next one.